Welcome to Democracy-ish. I'm Danielle Moody.
And I'm Wajatali. And folks, we are flirting with new technology. So please let us know in the comments. Can you see us? Can you hear us? Are people watching? We are also simultaneously on Twitter, and we should be on my Substack.
Right. I'm gonna look right now to investigate and see.
This is America, folks. This is what happens, right? We've gone back to the 20th century. All of our best minds have gone to China and Europe and are being poached. So you're left with me and Danielle.
We're there. We're on your Substack.
All right, we're good.
We're there.
All right. Welcome, everyone. Happy Juneteenth to you, Danielle. I'm sorry. We don't celebrate anymore. My bad. Happy
pull that back.
Yeah, happy random June 19th. Maybe something happened. You should have been working. You lazy child of immigrants, you lazy black woman. Why weren't you working yesterday? Oh, yeah, you were.
That's also right. It was. I took the evening off. And pre-recorded my show, but I was working all day. Unlike all the white people that live in my neighborhood.
Yeah, why? Good for you. That's what you should have been doing on Juneteenth, which don't worry, nothing happened there, folks, on June 19th. And also, I want to say before we talk about how this is a white supremacist regime, and Danielle and I have been saying it for 3 years, and everyone who said it's economic anxiety, yesterday was proof number 832 that this man, Donald Trump, is a racist and a bigot. Before we get into all of that, and how racism is the norm and terrorizing America. Now, all Americans, not just people who look like me and Danielle. I want to say congratulations to Danielle Moody for reaching 25,000 YouTube subscribers.
I am so happy. I got to thank every single person who has been showing up to my YouTube channel, to, hitting like, sharing, posting, doing the most. We really are growing this community, and I could not be happier to reach this milestone. And I'm reaching it. Look, there are people with big platforms. I'm happy for each and every single person, each and every single number, each and every single dollar. So thank you all so much for helping to grow this community. I appreciate it. And Waj, who, I tried to give him an out, guys. I said, you got all of these Substacks, you got all of these people following you. You sure you want to stick it out for a couple $100 a month? And Waj is like, oh no, I love this. Sure.
Yeah, I'm a masochist. I'm a terrible capitalist. She did give me an out 3 weeks ago. She goes, "What?" Like, I think right before we did one of these, she goes, "Watch, you could leave. It's okay. I won't be offended. I get it. You have like 800 kids." I'm like, inshallah, we're building something. You build something from the ground up. You try your best. And so Danielle getting 25,000, folks, for those who don't know how the YouTubes work, 10,000 is a nice milestone. Then 25,000 is the next big milestone. And what happens as a result, and why Danielle and I always say, if you can, please ring the bell right now, become a free subscriber, is the elves in the algorithm, they promote that channel more, they promote that content more. And as a result, more eyeballs get to see it. And furthermore, on the back end, somehow Danielle gets, instead of like $5, she gets $12, and she buys her fancy coffee.
Yeah. So I appreciate all of you. The out was sponsored by Wash's dad. Wash's dad is just like, Danielle seems nice and all, but maybe,
son,
do something else. Son, do something different. All right, friends. So we start today. Yesterday, as Waj says, was Juneteenth. And what is the Juneteenth holiday? Juneteenth is a national, federally recognized U.S. holiday. It became federally recognized as of 2021 under the Biden administration. And I have so many mixed thoughts, and I'm going to share just a few of them about Juneteenth, which is that Juneteenth celebrates and commemorates the final day that all enslaved Black people were freed, notified, right? This came 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. So I want folks to really understand that here we are Emancipation Proclamation happens. Yay, Lincoln. Yay, all of these things. And it was 2 years later, 2 more years of torture, 2 more years of rape, 2 more years of brutality, that then the news would reach Galveston, Texas,
Mm-hmm.
which is where on June 19th, 1865, 2 years after the proclamation, those people were notified of their freedom. And, I really like this post here where it says, Black people, be proud of your heritage and celebrate America's second Independence Day. Allies, listen and support, educate yourself on its origins before exclaiming Happy Juneteenth. Be sincere and informed. Take time to reflect, celebrate, and support Black people. And my mixed feelings on this is that I lived in DC. Waj, I know that your kids go to school in the DMV area. Juneteenth had been a holiday in Washington DC. And what the reason why it frustrates me is because we wanted the George Floyd Policing Act. We wanted police officers and armed white vigilantes to stop killing Black people. And instead of legislation that would promote the dignity, respect, and humanity of Black people, we got a federal holiday. We get Harriet Tubman named to be on the $20 bill, but we'll never see that. And so it to me, it is, I don't need your performance. I don't need the performance of, oh, let's give a federal holiday that now white people get off and have no understanding of the depths of what Juneteenth actually means, right? So I look at this and you see Tim Walz. I appreciate the proclamation he offered. The observance of Juneteenth calls for us to recommit ourselves to the work of equity, equality, and justice. Each June 19th, and especially today in Minnesota, we are reminded of our incredible capacity to heal, hope, and emerge from our darkest moments with purpose and resolve. But Waj, what did Donald Trump do?
So, as Danielle said, I think it's important for the context, right? Not only were these enslaved people still in slavery 2 years after Emancipation Proclamation, it's even 2 months after the Civil War ended and the North won, right? So can you imagine literally even a second, even a minute, even an hour of being an enslaved person after so-called Freedom Day, Emancipation Proclamation, right? Which is why Juneteenth is also known and was known in Black communities and celebrated unofficially as Freedom Day, actual Freedom Day, when everybody was finally free. And they had to walk into Galveston, Texas, and literally say, no, it's over, done, right? Folks, history repeats and rhymes, right? Because what we're seeing right now is people want to take us back to resegregation. People want to take us back. You saw in the Supreme Court decision yesterday, right? Take away the rights. People want to take away rights of women. People want to take away books in certain states due to, wait for it, states' rights. And then we were waiting yesterday, Danielle, and Caroline Leavitt, Bimbo Barbie, was asked by the press, well, Donald Trump, when it comes to proclamations on all these other days, he signed the proclamations. There was a press conference. There was a post. How come there's nothing on Juneteenth? And she says, I'm not aware. He's aware of it, but I'm not aware of him signing any proclamation. The whole day went on for a while. No comments, no posts. And what's so striking is that Joe Biden, the president in the last term, officially made it, like Daniel said, a federal holiday. The White House acknowledged it for all 4 years. Joe Biden, out of office, went to Galveston, Texas yesterday to a historic church. So everyone was waiting for Donald Trump. Somehow he comes out on Columbus Day. Somehow he goes to Fort Bragg and talks about renaming the forts after Confederate generals. Oh, Daniel, those racist traitors who fought against America so they could protect slavery, and then they lost the war. I always want to mention that. You know how white privilege exists? They're naming bridges and bases and statues not only after racist traitors, but people who lost the war. In order for me and Danielle to have a statue, we'd have to create statues. I give you all of that context, right? Finally, at 7, look at the timestamp, 7:03 p.m. Everyone's asking, hey, Juneteenth, it's trending. Hey, is Donald Trump going to say anything? And by this time, Danielle, I said, you know what? Let this mother effer not say anything. He forgot. It's very deliberate. I'm okay with that. But no, Danielle, no. Because we live in the worst timeline, Donald Trump said, let me just prove to you I'm a bigot and racist. Let me show everyone who still thinks it's about economic anxiety that it isn't, that this is really white supremacy. I'll go out of my way and post this on Truth Social. Too many non-working holidays in America. It is costing our country billions of dollars to keep all of these businesses closed. The workers don't want it either. Soon we'll end up having a holiday for everyone working on the day of the year. It must change if we're going to make America great again. Danielle, interesting. He didn't have that post on Columbus Day. He didn't have that post on Veterans Day. Why do you think, Danielle, at 7:03 p.m., he decided on June 19th to post that?
Because he's a fucking racist. Like, that's why. Because this motherfucker who has, according to the Lincoln Project, golfed 33 days. So he's golfed a month and 3 days in the last 5 months that he's been employed in this job with our fucking tax dollars, is talking about people having too many holidays, right? So this is the man who removed the bust of Martin Luther King Jr., who I'm certain, as Martin Luther King was staring at him in the Oval Office, is just like, get me the fuck out of here, right? Because why would the bust of Martin Luther King need to stare down a white nationalist on every day, all day? That's what got him shot in the first fucking place. So I don't need Donald Trump to say a goddamn thing. As a matter of fact, I wish that he would shut the fuck up, because that is free, right? That costs us nothing. So I don't need him to commend a holiday that he knows nothing about. I don't need him to offer, placate and platitudes and all of these things. I could care less. But that post is just, par for the course of what white nationalists do.
And it's one of those situations where you echoed what I said, is just say nothing, bro. Just say nothing. We're used to you saying nothing, but he felt compelled. He felt compelled to write this. He felt compelled to write this, folks. So anyone who's still, for whatever reason, after 10 years on the fence about what this regime is, what people like Pete Hegseth and Caroline Levin and Kristi Noem, with her allergies, too soon or not soon enough, what, Stephen Miller is, I give you this, first and foremost, you're not even acknowledging the day, but then you go out of your way to say, well, how come we're not working on this day? And people were working on the day. People were working on the day. It's the spite, the cruelty, the meanness. And I'm sure it was people in his base saying, come on, rile up your base. Why are we celebrating Juneteenth? This is woke. This is DEI. And speaking about the woke and the DEI and the attack on the woke and corporations bending the knee, Danielle, we remember in the last 4 years, people used to acknowledge Juneteenth, right? There was a brief acknowledgement of Juneteenth, and there were books being sold, right? And corporations were like, "Oh yeah, black people were freed. This is good."
Use Juneteenth as another Hallmark holiday to sell you shit,
yeah.
Right? Like that. I mean, that is what it is. But like, what has happened, Waj? Oh, this Amazon and Verizon and other major corporations have ended or reduced their support for Juneteenth celebrations this year, forcing events in major cities to be significantly scaled back, a popular information investigation reveals. And why is that? Because everything is performative, because nothing actually matters, because including, I happen to have the wonderful honor of being both Black and gay, and was Juneteenth and Pride. And so what I can offer as a Black queer woman is that, they've also scaled back on the Pride parades. They've also scaled back on the Pride celebrations and the flags that you used to see everywhere and all of these things. My God. Like, if you want to understand that corporations do not actually have integrity, values, and missions, like, I give you this year, right? Because if Kamala Harris had won, how many Juneteenth flags and pride flags would you be seeing on top of Google, on top of Verizon, on top of this place and that place? But because they're spineless and they are afraid of what could happen, or again, it doesn't really mean anything to them because
Yeah.
Black people, queer people don't actually matter to them. Right? So
None of us matter.
like that, like none of us matter. So, like again, your dollars should matter to you. So you be conscious of where you put your money, right? And it doesn't mean that you can boycott every single place, but the fact is that we should all be conscious of where we put our money because these people take our money by day and then do us dirty by night. And that is the corporate way.
Can I ask you a question, Danielle? Someone mentioned this in the comments, and I don't know because I stopped shopping at Target, and our family used to go to Target all the time. Our kids like know that store inside out. But ever since Target and Walmart and others bent the knee, we're done with them. And so we've tried because look, at the end of the day, these are corporations. The bottom line is profits, and the color that trumps all other colors is the color green, right? So what Danielle says is do a buyout and then do a buy into those companies, both local and nationally, who are actually supporting your communities and diversity. It makes a difference. Target saw foot traffic decrease for 3 months in a row, and that foot traffic instead went to Costco and other stores that actually did not abandon their communities of color or their LGBT communities or their immigrant communities. But the question I want to ask is, I remember the last couple of years, specifically during the Biden administration, Target, right? We used to go with our kids all the time. During Pride Month, there was a section of Target where they used to sell, like, it was like a rainbow section, and they sold all this stuff, right? Two questions I have for you because I haven't gone to Target. Do they still have that section this month? Number one, I don't know. Someone please answer that question for me. And number two, when you saw that as a queer woman, were you like, yeah, Target's representing me? Or were you like, I know they just want to sell shit, but fine, I'll take it?
I will tell one, I have no idea what they're doing now. I haven't been in a Target this year. So I have no idea.
Someone
But
let us know if
yeah,
Target stopped that.
if
I'm
you
really
have.
curious.
But the fact is that before I thought of Target as the more conscious, like big box store. I didn't shop at Walmart. I, wasn't interested in anything that Walmart had to offer, Kmart's, any of those things. But I was, I thought until I started to learn who Target was giving money to, right? So Target would have all of their, rainbow stuff and all of their promotional stuff out there. And if you remember, MAGA was going viral for going in and like throwing things around because they're so fucking fragile that they can't just like move past something because if it's not oriented to their specificities, to their liking, then it must not exist whatsoever. But I used to think that Target was a good company until I realized that they were donating to both. Like they were donating to anti-LGBT candidates, Republican candidates, while also posting their queer memorabilia. And once that was lifted up, I was like, you're not getting my money. Right? So you want to take gay money, you want to take queer money, you want to pink wash shit, right? And rainbow wash shit, and then you want to give to the campaigns of people who are trying to take away my rights and think that that's okay? That's what Target does. And that's what all of these companies do. That's what Donald Trump did before he became like, he would give money to everybody. Right? Oh, I'll throw some money over here to a Democrat. I'll throw some money over here to a Republican. I'll hedge my bets. That's what it is. It's like you're laying if you're in Vegas, you're putting all your money, all over the table so
That's
that,
it.
You'll win a little bit depending on what goes down. You have no allegiance. So I'm saying to folks again, it's your money. It's your dollars. Be thoughtful about where you're putting it. And question whether or not the people that corporations that you are buying from how they're supporting women's issues, immigrant issues, Black people, people of color, Muslims, people with disabilities. Like, what are they actually doing?
And also, as Danielle said, it used to be, and it still is, the blacks. Okay, Black History Month. Okay, Black dollar, come here. Pride, flags, flags, flags. Okay, gay dollar, come here. Christmas. All right, Christians, come here. Right? They don't care. But at the same time now, you cannot afford to be neutral. Why? Because this administration and the MAGA movement, folks, it ain't like the olden days. They're aggressively trying to erase the rest of us aggressively. Look at the Supreme Court case, right? No parents' choice anymore. I thought it was all parents' choice, parents' choice, parents' choice. But no, punting to the states. And if that state wants to attack transgender kids, which pretty much red states will, then you know what? Your parents who know you better than anyone else, and if they want to give you gender affirming care, but like if the state doesn't allow it, shit out of luck, parent, right? And then these folks will say, oh, okay, well, let's just support them anyway, because that's where the tide is turning. And where the tide was turning for the past 5 months was being tough on crime, tough on undocumented immigrants, all the conspiracies about Haitians eating dogs and pets, the Nazi conspiracies, that was fine with Target and Walmart, all the conspiracies about the El Salvadoran rapists and the Venezuelan gangs, even though it was bullshit, that was fine. And it was so fine, folks, that even Democrats in the House and the Senate helped the Republicans pass the completely cruel Lake and Riley Act that goes after undocumented immigrants and is willing to deport them just for nonviolent charges. Forget convictions, nonviolent charges. And I always want to remind people, it wasn't just the Republicans. Without Democrats in the House and Senate, the Lake and Riley Act would not have passed. And what Danielle and I kept saying, and we keep saying, is first they'll come after the transgender. Then they'll come after undocumented immigrants. Then they'll come after legal immigrants. And then it was Senator Padilla last week. Him being a senator, all that privilege, did it save him? Nope. Brad Lander over the weekend being a New York City comptroller, Jewish American in New York, did it save him? Nope. Grad students, people who go to Ivy League schools, did it save them? Nope. Does it save anybody? Nope. So you need corporations and you need those people in power to actually take a stand. And if they're unwilling to take a stand, they're complicit, which is why you stop supporting them. And so yesterday was a test of all this. Everything is connected. In the city of Los Angeles, which is being terrorized, I'm using the word deliberately, it is being terrorized by ICE, National Guard, and the military over a bullshit claim of invasion. There's no invasion, right? None. Stephen Miller, I want to connect the dots because people forget the facts. 2 weeks ago, unleashed ICE agents to terrorize Los Angeles. He went after Home Depots and 7-Elevens. There was a peaceful protest, only about 3 or 4 blocks. LA is huge, 10 million people. The LAPD came out and thanked the organizers and the leaders and the protesters for being peaceful. Despite that, Donald Trump then brought in the National Guard, then the military, then more National Guard. Now you're seeing more chaos, flashbangs, tear gas. ICE agents are being unleashed. They're accidentally picking up citizens, pregnant women, union leaders, accidentally legal immigrants, going after Brad Lander, right? It's go time for the brown shirts, right? And then yesterday, they're so emboldened by this Trump administration. Danielle, tell them where they said they'd go to pick up immigrants.
So they went to Dodger Stadium yesterday. And, again, every time that I lose faith in humanity, which happens on a day-to-day basis, then you get stories like this. In a massive blow to Trump's deportation machine, the ICE agents who attempted to gain entry at Dodger Stadium have been refused entry and have been escorted out by LAPD. And, it goes to say this then, that then Homeland Security gets on social media and lies, right? This had nothing to do with the Dodgers. CBP vehicles were in the stadium parking lot very briefly, unrelated to any operation or enforcement. So you just so happened, were you all going to take in the game in your uniforms and you just so happened to roll up to Dodger Stadium? And it's just like, and this person says, LOL, the DHS is now claiming that they never tried to access Dodger Stadium. They're just upset the people of LA kicked them out. Pathetic. And so this is what we are going to see over and over again. And this is why I continue to say, oh, here's an idea. FIFA, here's an idea. Olympic Committee, don't fucking host your events in the United States, because the people who are coming to represent their countries, the people that are coming to celebrate and cheer on their countries, are going to be fucking harassed, deported, detained, and it's not worth it. So I imagine, fast forward to when World Cup and the Olympics are supposed to take place, that the absolute attendance gonna drop. They'll see you in Canada, they'll see you in Mexico, but you think whatever is going to happen in the United States, they'll see? No. And I believe it, Jules. That's what I said. They'll deport the fucking athletes.
Listen, folks, if you think what Danielle and Jules are saying is exaggerated, they showed up to Dodger Stadium yesterday to pick up and deport immigrants. As we've already mentioned, they've gone after legal immigrants. They don't care. Brown person, jump, attack, right? World Cup 2026. One of the host cities is Los Angeles. You know what's happening in 2028, folks? Olympics. Danielle and everyone who's watching right now in the comment section, let's be honest. Let me ask you a question. Suppose you're visiting this country, right? You need a passport. I've traveled. Danielle's traveled. Sometimes you leave your passport in the hotel. You just do. You're like, I probably won't need it, and I don't want to lose it, right? So if I'm going across the street or if I'm going to the restaurant, I'll just leave my passport, because if I lose it, I'm effed. Would you come to this country if there was even a 5% chance that, God forbid, if you left your passport in your hotel, you could be picked up by ICE, kidnapped, and renditioned to Guantanamo?
Absolutely fucking not.
5% chance.
Absolutely not. And folks, just to remind you, we are only months into this administration. By the time the Olympics is in 2028, is the World Cup in 2026 or 27?
Yeah, LA is one of the host cities, 2026.
So we're 5 months into this, and this is where we are. What do you think people are going, like the decision that they're going to be making in a year from now? So, you know, I say to them, you do not have to have your events here, because this is the kind of attitude that MAGA has. This piece of shit that CNN employs gainfully.
Is he still stuck in Israel, or did he get to leave?
He said, I'm fine if they arrest Dodgers for obstruction. Literally arresting the players, the team, for saying, don't come in here unless like you have a ticket and you're coming to watch the game. And so it was said, I'm fine with Dodgers suing Scott Jennings for defamations, since it's not obstruction for private businesses to deny LEO's permission to enter their premises without a warrant. Yeah, that's how I feel about Scott Jennings as well.
I mean, by Dodgers, does he mean the players? Does he mean the organization? Does he mean the C-suites? Folks, people love their sports. And baseball, much like football, not really the most progressive sports if you follow sports. NBA, WNBA, it's probably as progressive as you're going to get. Probably soccer here and there. Baseball, football, nah. Still pretty conservative. They start sending ICE agents to pick up baseball fans, Danielle. They start declaring war against the Dodgers. Danielle, that rift is gonna, I'm telling you, those chickens are gonna come home to roost. And speaking about the racism, you know, Danielle and I talk about, and people might think we're a broken record, and people say, we live in a post-racial society. And people say, you guys talk about racism too much. What are you talking about? Get over it. In the United States of America, we've been saying it a lot recently. We'll say it again. The twin sins that keep rearing their ugly head: white supremacy and greed. The marriage of white supremacy and greed. Why can't we have nice things? White supremacy and greed. And if you think what we just showed you, if that wasn't proof enough, right? Because guess who's profiting? private prisons, the military-industrial complex. Oh yeah, ICE might go bankrupt, but they don't care because the white supremacy right now is taking over the capitalism part of Stephen Miller's brain. He's perfectly fine bankrupting America. But guess what? The color green still trumps, right? And because the color green still trumps, folks, in New York, where Danielle is, we just found out some breaking news, I think as of today, that the Democratic establishment, including Clyburn, folks, instead of staying out of it, instead of saying, you know what, who has momentum and who do the kids like and who's a progressive, Zohran Mamdani, let's throw our hat in the ring for Zohran Mamdani. Danielle, tell him who the Democratic establishment now publicly, openly is supporting in New York, in the New York race.
Oh, well, they figure since Republicans have their own sexual predator, that they should get one too. And so they've decided to support Andrew Cuomo.
Not
Andrew
making this up.
Who has been credibly accused of sexual harassment by 13 women that he tried to smear, that he tried to sue. And now on top of which, right, he also was lying about COVID deaths, made a ton of money off of a book, right? And mind you, I was a person who was celebrating Cuomo during COVID, right? Was never missed a press conference, made me feel safe, made me feel good because Donald Trump was telling people to inject bleach and light and all of these things. And I said, oh, thank God for Andrew Cuomo. Fast forward, you find out what the fuck he was doing during that time. And so
can I give you the Clyburn quote?
Please.
Quote, the mayor of New York is uniquely positioned to play an important role in the future of the National Democratic Party, Mr. Clyburn said in a statement, adding that Mr. Cuomo had, quote, the experiences, credentials, and character to not just serve New York, but also help save the nation, end quote.
The character, this is the same establishment Democrats that forced him to resign because of the sexual improprieties that he was credibly accused of. And so here's the thing. This is why I say, folks, and somebody just posted it in yes, the Democratic Party is dead, right? And I'm going to say it again. I am about this close to re-registering as a fucking independent. Been a Democrat my entire life because they are not the party of resistance. They are the party of corporations. They are the party of elitism. And they are the party, right, of nice white moderates that will work overtime to throw whatever marginalized community or person under the bus in order to continue to court the favor of their donors. Case in point, here is Mamdani, right, who is a democratic socialist, a person of the people who actually wants to focus on the economic viability of the lower and middle class in New York City. We've learned as of late, 1 in 4 New Yorkers is living in poverty. And in an interview that I did on my other podcast, As the World Churns, with David Sirotto of The Lever, he said 1 in 4 New Yorkers live in poverty and 1 in 24 are millionaires. Like the absurdity of those two extremes. And Zohran wants to come in and actually say, we need to recalibrate, right? We need to recalibrate our economics. We need to recalibrate these systems that don't work for the people. And what has the Democratic establishment decided to do? They have decided to smear him with Islamophobia, right? Don't vote for the scary, darker skin. He has a beard. He has a name
tell him what they did. How and the money's coming from AIPAC and a lot of the pro-Israel lobby.
AIPAC. The money is coming from Palantir. The money is coming from all of these corporate. The money is coming from Bloomberg. The money is coming from all of these entities to flood into Cuomo and to go against what the people actually want. They are running commercials. Every other commercial is a smear campaign against Mamdani. And I'll tell you that here's the thing for me, because the election is on Tuesday, that if people of color do not get out and vote for Zohran, to not rank Cuomo whatsoever, once again, the billionaires will win because the billionaires are putting in their candidate. Cuomo isn't a person of character. He isn't a person that is going to fight for the people. He's going to fight for the dollars that go into his fucking pocket. He's going to fight for his fucking donors. Like, that's what they've been doing. That's what they will continue to do. The hotel lobby, the fucking this lobby, that lobby, all in bed for Cuomo, which should tell people, oh, I'm not so sure who to vote for. Who are the billionaires voting for? Vote the other way.
But you know what? A report came out a couple of days ago in the New York Times that the DNC is strapped for cash and desperate. People are fleeing, donors aren't giving them votes. And so what they did now, I mean, I think, this might be Clyburn coming out for Cuomo against Mamdani might be the final straw for me, Danielle. Because look, Mamdani, like me, is a brown man. Mamdani, like me, is a son of immigrants. His mom is director Mira Nair. His father is Professor Mamdani, who's Muslim. He wrote a great book, Good Muslim, Bad Muslim. And in the year 2025, they're throwing a Mamdani, who has a beard like I do, under the bus. Palantir is straight up an evil company, co-founded by Peter Thiel and Alex Karp, right? Literally helping. There you go. Alex Karp, billionaire CEO of creepy defense contractor Palantir, creepy as F. Literally helping Donald Trump build a surveillance state, right? Literally proud. Alex Karp proudly publicly said he helped Israel during his genocidal campaign against the Palestinians, has taken a side in New York, closely watched mayoral race. Whoever Karp is for, you should be against, all right? Let me just say. Karp, who once bragged that his company kills people, recently gave a large sum of money to a super PAC that is supporting the campaign of Cuomo, all right? So Clyburn, who in 2021 urged Cuomo to drop out, has now come out in his old age and said, you know what? We need Cuomo. And why? Because Schumer. Remember Schumer? Yes. What state is he the senator of? New York. And what did Schumer do to all the Democrats who organized and who rallied and who said, you know what? We're not going to support Republicans and extending and passing the budget and let it fall on them. Let them fall on their own sword. What did Schumer do at the last second, Danielle? Want to remind people?
Just, said no. He wasn't. What did he do? He decided that he wasn't going to.
He did a 180.
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, I'll give him the votes." And he rallied about 10.
And then couldn't go on his book tour. Couldn't go on his book tour. Why couldn't he go on his book tour? Because everyone in the country was just like, "I'm sorry. What did you just do? You just gave the votes that you didn't need to give." And then you want to come out on The View of all places and tell us that, oh, you have to understand the nuances of how politics works and blah, blah. And it works so well that you had to cancel your book tour because no one was coming out to buy your book. Everyone was coming out to give you the finger.
And the reason for it is, I was talking to Reed Gallen yesterday, and we talked about this. We don't know, but this is my take. And I think it's not that big of a stretch. A major donor, probably a Wall Street bigwig, called up Chuck the day before and said, you're not going to let the economy tank. You're not going to let the stock market go down because of this. That's going to be disastrous to our bottom line. Be the adult in the room. And then Chuck says, yes, boss. Picked up the phone and said, all right, let's make a deal. And that's what's happening with Cuomo. All the rich folks, the 1%, right? They hate the AOCs. They hate the Elizabeth Warrens. They hate the Bernies. They hate the Zohran Mamdanis, the Rupert Murdoch. To quote George Carlin, it's a big club and you ain't in it.
Not in it.
Right? All these folks were buddies, but Trump used to golf with Bloomberg and Clinton. These people don't care about you. All the corporations who pink wash and who Juneteenth wash and bring out the pride flags and then talk about cancer and then do African American History Month. They don't care about any of you. They care about themselves and their bottom lines. And it's the gatekeepers who all go to Aspen, Billionaires Mountain, and hang out during the Aspen Festival, right? These people do not care about any of you. And once they see Zohran Mamdani or an AOC or anyone who comes out and says, maybe the rich should pay their taxes.
Bernie Sanders is a good, and I didn't like Bernie. And I'll tell you, he's a prime example. What would have happened if the Democratic establishment had actually stayed out of that fucking race?
He would have won.
Him and Hillary Clinton. Who would have won?
He would have won.
He would have won.
He would have beat Trump too. I know people don't like hearing it. He would have beat Trump.
Any politician that has the audacity to put the needs of the people and not the donor class first, anyone who is talking about power to the people and a redistribution of wealth, and is talking about how capitalism is out of control and billionaires are evil and running all of these things, and that we need to remove money from politics, and that is at the core of how the people lost power. Those people, right, are then, I mean, the money that is thrown the way to get those people out, to smear them, whether you smear them with racism and discrimination in what is happening to Zohran, whether you do it with ageism, which is what happened to Bernie. Oh, he's too old and he's out of touch and this, that, and the other thing. Or you call them a socialist like you did AOC. It's always it's the same fucking people. The same class of people. And so when people come to me, Waj, and they say there's no difference between Democrats and Republicans, when you were talking about their connection to wealth and they're sucking up to the donor class, there absolutely is no difference.
There is no, and AOC called it a couple of days ago. There was a very successful rally from Mamdani where AOC came out. She said free Palestine to much applause. Remember that? And she also said, she talked about it. Go check out the clip where for the first time publicly, I think she says, we keep trying to go to the establishment, the leaders of the Democratic Party. We keep trying and they keep throwing us under the bus. I'm paraphrasing it, but she openly talked about the fissure. It says, we keep trying. They keep putting their boots on our faces, right? I want to bring people say, oh, they're very, they're agitators, they're disruptors. Why can't they play ball? I want to bring the receipts. When Joe Biden last year said, I'm going to stay in the race, he shouldn't have, we all agree, but he said, I'm going to stay in the race. There were two groups that rallied behind him for the sake of building a coalition. Those two groups were Black voters and the progressives, Bernie and AOC. After Kamala Harris was given the baton, the two groups that rallied around Kamala Harris first to build a coalition, Black women, Black men, progressives. Who dragged their feet around Kamala? Do you all remember? Nancy Pelosi and the establishment. It took Nancy Pelosi, remember that, Danielle? A couple of days. Because what we found out is on the DL, corporate America wasn't a little iffy.
An open primary. They wanted an open primary because they did not want her. Right? So, again, it is time, in my mind, Waj, I don't know about yours, it's time for another party. It's time for a new party, because I believe that the fissures inside of the Democratic Party are so deep, right? You either are a part of the donor class and the elite, or you're for the people. But I no longer think that the tent is big enough to hold both of these things. And it is evident now that as we are 6 months into this regime, that as we are 10 years into Trumpism, and the Democrats have not formulated a path of resistance that is coherent, that is exciting, that connects with the people and what the people want, that it is evident that the AOCs of the world, the Kenyatas, all of these people in different forms and formulations have tried to bring this dinosaur into the 21st century, and they have refused. And not only have they refused, they've doubled down. They have doubled down. Nancy Pelosi had the opportunity when the five, right, came in to the House of Representatives.
Talking about the squad, right?
The squad, when they came in, she had the opportunity to say, this is the future of the Democratic Party, right? To be able to seemingly pass the baton. And instead, what did she do? As soon as those people received any type of pushback, she threw them under the bus.
All of them.
Every single one of them. So I'm like, we keep expecting these old thinking, old-minded, greedy, like just, I mean, terrible people.
Yeah, terrible.
They're terrible people.
War hawks, also part of the war on terror.
War hawks to somehow change and relate to a community and a base that they have no desire to actually give any power to. These are people who want their power to stay where it is so that they can do their handshake deals behind closed doors and then tell the people what it is that they want, as opposed to listening to what the people want and actually delivering on it.
Let me do a quick rant before we talk about how terrible the failed leadership of Donald Trump is and how it might lead us into war. And the brewing MAGA civil war, which is exciting to watch, is speaking about the brewing civil war. I am old enough to remember, Danielle, that the Tea Party had its revolution in 2010, 2012. And the Republican establishment said, your leaders are going to be Eric Cantor and Kevin McCarthy and Paul Ryan. Remember those names?
Yep.
I'm going deep cuts. They even wrote a book together, The Future of the Republican Leadership. And then guess what happened? Eric Cantor was supposed to be, young, Jewish, handsome American man, a Republican. He's going to be the leader. And guess what? The Republican base said, nope, we're going to bring in this nut, David Bratt, right? And all of a sudden, Eric Cantor, he was 86th. A term that Republicans use, right? And then you saw Donald Trump. Donald Trump was a bulldozer. They tried to contain Donald Trump. They still hate Donald Trump, folks. I'm telling you, here in DC, Virginia. And Donald Trump just came in and bulldozed right past Ted Cruz and Lindsey Graham and all the donors and all the adults in the room. And now, sadly, this corrupt vulgarian is the cult leader of the entire Republican Party. You need something similar, not in terms of a personality, but you need a similar type of complete takeover of the Democratic Party, right? So when I say let it die, and people get really pissed off at me, what I'm saying is let this version die. Because it's dead. It's Weekend at Bernie's. And as it needs to die, Danielle. And maybe Trump winning is the pain that they needed to feel, even though we're all going to suffer. And you need to get rid of the Pelosi's, the Schumers, the Clyburns, all of them. Clyburn says, well, what am I supposed to do with my time if I resign? I don't know, dude. You're 80 years old. Go spend time with your kids. Go to Florida.
With your grandkids, your children. I don't fucking know. Go garden.
Yeah, Chuck Schumer, this is the only job he's known. He's been in the job for 50 years. Go do another job. Be a mentor. Be Yoda. Be like Harry Reid. Step down, mentor, groom someone. But they won't. They want to be in charge forever. And I always want to remind people, there was Nancy Pelosi from her hospital bed who whipped up votes for Jerry Connolly, who is now dead. Jerry Connolly was 73 years old 5 months ago. Jerry Connolly was suffering from cancer. Jerry Connolly said, it's my time to be the head of the oversight committee. Jerry Connolly was a great representative. And guess who threw her hat in the ring to be the chair of the oversight committee? Danielle, tell the people.
AOC.
And she whipped up votes for Jerry Connolly. 5 months later, Jerry Connolly 6 months underground because they're freaking dying in office. Another receipt. Guess who threw her hat in the ring to be the director of communications for the DNC?
Jasmine Crockett.
Who'd they give it to, Danielle?
Oh, what's that woman's name?
Dinglebanger.
Debbie Dingle. Like Dingleberry. Like.
And then
anybody heard of her? Head of communications.
Who are the people who 86 Cuomo? Democrats. And now they're doing like, it's the Men in Black, when Will Smith brings out the white light and says, look in the light. And they just completely excise your memory. Now they're saying this guy's fantastic. And Cuomo will use this, folks, to run for president. Guess who also threw his hand in the ring to run? Rahm Emanuel. Let it burn down. Let it burn and let something good take. We got to take that party over. I'm sorry. That's my rant. I had to say it.
That's the same rant that I have. Like, it's done. It's done. Right? So speaking of burning things all the way down, and this is, folks, like this week was so fucking crazy, which is why I labeled the show Trump's Chaos Week, but it's like really our Chaos Week because, on top of everything else that we were talking about, we got about 2 weeks until, potentially we start World War III as part of the axis of evil that that America is now part of. And I just want to play this, I think I have this clip of bimbo bobblehead Barbie.
President Trump has said previously in regard to Russia, he's used this phrase about 2 weeks several times in terms of like we expect like a 2-week deadline, and then you give another 2-week deadline. How can we be sure that he's going to stick to this one on making a decision on Iran?
Well, in those deadlines, as you've seen in respect to Russia, Ukraine, might I add, these are two very different, complicated global conflicts, as you know, that the president inherited from our previous incompetent president in the weakness of the previous administration. And the president has spent a tremendous amount of time and effort cleaning up these crises that were caused by the last administration.
Cleaning them up? How?
Complete dereliction of duty on the world stage and American weakness. Now we have American strength again. With respect to
So you can't answer the question, dummy, because you don't fucking know. Because Donald Trump changes his mind as often as you probably change that cross on your neck, right? Because the other one burned into your skin. Because you shouldn't be wearing it in the first place because you're Satan's bride. Anyway, like moving on. So because like
no, wait, but 2 weeks, real quick before we move on, the 2 weeks someone brought it up this is patent Donald Trump evasion. Trump always chicks it out. He has a history of 2 weeks. I'll figure it out in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, come back to me. 2 weeks, infrastructure week. 2 weeks, trade deal. 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. He punts because he got played by Bibi, because he's weak, because I think Danielle, who's been playing him like a fiddle. The only reason we're in this is because Donald Trump effed up the successful U.S.-Iran nuclear deal that was negotiated by Barack Hussein Obama. But because Obama did it, folks, he had to erase it, going back full circle because he's a racist. Netanyahu preyed on it. And guess what? That U.S.-Iran deal was such a success, it lowered the temperature. He effed it up, made everything worse. Fast forward 8 years, he comes back to the negotiation table. They were supposed to talk last weekend. Guess who realized, you know what? This man's an idiot. I'm just going to go ahead and strike and let him come along for the ride. Bibi Netanyahu. And then going back full circle, talking about the failure of the Democrats. Danielle, I think I've been saying this on this show last week, since this has been happening now. It's the 7th day. I said last week, and we're talking about this Ted Cruz clip. I said, I have more faith in the America First wing of MAGA to keep this country from war than the Democratic establishment. Have you heard anything from Senator Schumer or Hakeem Jeffries? Nope. Who did it take to completely expose the war boners of the chicken hawks? Was it corporate media, CNN, Democratic establishment? Who was it, Danielle? I can't believe this is it. We're in hell.
This week just has killed my soul. It was Tucker fucking Carlson. Take a listen.
Iran, by the way.
I don't know the population.
At all?
No, I don't know the population.
You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple?
How many people live in Iran?
92 million.
Okay. Yeah.
How could you not know that?
I don't sit around memorizing population tables.
Well, it's kind of relevant because you're calling for the overthrow of the government.
Why is it relevant whether it's 90 million or 80 million or 100 million? Why is that relevant?
Because if you don't know anything about the country...
I didn't say I don't know anything about
Okay, what's the ethnic mix of Iran?
They are Persians and predominantly Shia. Okay, this is cute.
It's not even... You don't know anything about Iran. So
okay, I am not the Tucker Carlson expert on Iran.
You're a senator who's calling for the overthrow of the government.
You're the one who claims
anything about the country.
No, you don't know anything about the country. You're the one who claims they're not trying to murder Donald Trump. You're the
I'm
one
not saying that.
who can't figure out if it was a good idea to kill General Soleimani, and you said it was bad.
You don't believe they're trying to murder Trump.
Yes, I do.
Because you're not calling for military strikes against them in retaliation. And if you really believe that...
We're carrying out military strikes today.
You said Israel was.
Right, with our help. I said we. Israel is leading them, but we're supporting them.
Well, you're breaking news here, because the U.S. government last night denied, the National Security Council spokesman Alex Pfeiffer denied on behalf of Trump that we were acting on Israel's behalf in any offensive capacity.
No, we're not bombing them. Israel's bombing them.
You just said we were.
We are supporting
Israel.
High
stakes. You're a senator. If you're saying the United States government is at war with Iran right now, people are listening.
Okay.
In a week where I have agreed with fucking Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Tulsi Gabbard, you know we're in hell. You know we're in hell. Because I have now played clips and shown messages from those three fucking people because I agree with them and I know that we are in hell. I believe, Waj, we're just part of the leftovers. Do you know what I'm saying? The apocalypse happened in fucking 2020, 2021, and we're just the leftovers. Because how?
Basic factual questions, follow-ups, context. Journalism 101. Tucker Carlson, piece of shit, but he did it. I don't care about his agenda, but he did it. He asked the basic questions that corporate media and Democrats could have and should have asked Ted Cruz, who comes on CNN, Fox all the time, Lindsey Graham, who comes on all the time. They don't ask the basic questions. They haven't asked it for 25 years when it comes to Iran. And then he asked, the other clip where we had time where he really grilled them was about AIPAC and about why do you support Israel? And he says, I support it because the Bible commands it. Where in the Bible? He couldn't tell you. The nation of Israel, how would you define it? Couldn't talk about it, right? Basic questions. And because of that, people said, yeah, why are we attacking Iran? Yeah. What do you mean? You're a U.S. senator. What do you mean your priority is to help a foreign country? Wait a second. Israel has a nuclear weapon? Wait. The fact that Thomas Massie, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Steve Bannon, as of yesterday, Matt Gaetz, and Tucker Carlson are the anti-war brigade, and mouse farts from Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer. It's over. Just Danielle, just wake me up when it's finished.
And I'm going to say this as we close out because we must wrap. My sister is getting married this weekend.
Hey!
And I am headed to Long Island very quickly. But I just, it isn't just the upside down world that we find ourselves in where Tucker Carlson is now a hard-hitting journalist. It is also these folks. Rogan guest, yes, that Rogan, Joe Rogan's guest, Dave Smith, says he has withdrawn his support for Trump over his Iran policy, and plenty of MAGA feel the same way. Quote, I supported him and I apologize for doing so. He should be impeached and removed. When these people believed in Donald Trump's idea of America first, we're no longer going to intervene in the world's problems. Everyone needs to, quote unquote, carry their own weight, build up your own military, go call somebody else. They believed him. I don't know why, because he's lied about every other fucking thing. But
they're all grifters too.
They believed when he said America first. And so now they're like, you are betraying the very principle, the very foundation of what it is Make America Great Again was supposed to be about. And so I end with this, Waj, and I turn it to you, which is your post of let them fight, because I'm just like, go ahead. Let them fight. I don't give a fuck. Rip each other apart. UFC style. Put them in a cage.
Yep.
Let's see which parts of MAGA win and who Donald Trump is going to side with.
And you know what? Not just let them fight. Also, use them to your advantage. So just like we're using Tucker's clip, even though he's a piece of shit, if that keeps us out of war, Danielle, I'll give Tucker his one flower and also call him a piece of shit. If Dave Smith and Tucker and Matt Gaetz can create fissures within the war hawk Republican Party and take out Ted Cruz and Lindsey Graham, so be it. And if a Zohran Mamdani and others can at the very least create cracks and fissures on this corrupt, ossified DNC, you know what, Danielle? These people don't care about us. I care about America. I care about the American people. I care about the world. I care about communities that I'm not from, because I realize we're all in this together. If everybody, if these individuals, these corporations, the DNC, the institutions are no longer protecting us, but only exploiting us and our votes and our support to keep themselves in power, I'm done with you. I don't need you. I have no fidelity to you. I have not given you allegiance. Oh, Nancy Pelosi. Oh, Joe Biden. Oh, Democrats. If you are not fighting for the people, I'm done with you. And I'm here for your downfall, and I want to replace you with something better. Okay, I'm going to say it, and Danielle, I have been saying it. We try to be fair here. When Democrats do good, we give them their flowers. When they don't do good, it's time to burn it all down, folks. Too much is at stake. We're dealing with fascism, and fascists come for everyone at the end. At first, they sacrificed the Muslims, and then the transgender, and then the undocumented. And people said, it's okay. They're the others. They're the marginalized. We don't care. But now you're seeing the boot on your neck, or at the very least, the boot kicking down your door. So it's going to be the majority, all of us standing up with whatever power we have, our voice, our kindness, our empathy, our votes, and our dollar to demand change and something better. And with that, Danielle has to run because her sister's getting married. Fantastic news. Much love to you and your family. I'm sure it's a very joyous day. I'm sure your parents are very happy. Inshallah, may your sister's marriage be one of love, and may the family grow. And inshallah, marriages are awesome. They're lovely. Happiness for all sides of the family and the new family that inshallah is going to enter your family. Hopefully there's just a lot of joy and happiness and a lot of good tears and smiles this weekend for you and your family, Danielle.
Yes, I'm not watching the news this weekend, guys.
Yeah, no watching the news. Just party, dance, eat food, eat cake, have fun. And finally, before we leave, Danielle has 25,000 subscribers. Folks, if you're watching, please ring the bell. It goes a long way. Danielle is the host of the Damn Digest as well on Substack. Like me, the editor of The Left Hook, we are fools. She has kept no paywalls. Everything is for free. Our content is for free. We want people to be informed. We want people to be educated. So we rely on our audience. We get no corporate dollars, no sponsors. It is a reader-supported publication. This is a viewer-supported show. Any dollars you can give to us, we'll gladly take. If you don't have the money so far, we understand. At least become a subscriber to Danielle's YouTube show. By the way, I think I have a YouTube channel. I'm at 9,960.
I know. I'm like, by the way,
get me to 10,000. Why not? And then join The Left Hook, join Damn Digest. Folks, thank you for your time. Be kind, be informed, be empathetic. Don't be a fascist. And please, oh, please get Danielle to now 30,000 subscribers. Yes. Danielle, final word to you.
We're on the way. Folks, have a brilliant, thank you so much. Have a brilliant, beautiful weekend. Get rest, get nourishment, spend time outdoors, spend time with those that you love. We will continue to get through this. Waj and I will be back here on Monday, 12 p.m. Eastern. With that, we will see you then. Be well. And thank you so much to all the super stickers, all the super donators. Subscribe, like, and share. Be well.